Hello everybody, it's Shako. Today, I'm coming back with another Regis Masterclass because I thought some people would appreciate it and it would be needed because Sacramento is happening in less than a week, actually. So, yeah, let's hop into it. Okay, so we have the possible lists, and basically how I separated these lists was between supporters. We have Carmine, which is a build that wants to go first and has a really consistent setup turn 2. Irida, which plays really fast into turn 1, and Cypher Maniac that plays better into the end game, fights against hand disruption, and also does help you set up on the first turn of the game. So, possible lists, we have Carmine. This is an example I had for Carmine. We did have that Regis list from my other video where Searching Sparks released on TCG Live. I'm not saying that this list is better or anything. If you find that your testing goes better with this list, definitely go ahead to play it. I feel like most of it goes down to preference, but a lot of things I have are similar to the list I made here, and there are like parts of it that I like, there are parts of it that I might dislike, but overall I just try to opt for consistency. I did take out the trekking shoes. If you like the trekking shoes, 100% go for it. There's no reason to be like, oh, this is the newest list I made and so this is the best one possibly. No, it's not. I'm just trying to test out lists right now. Actually, I don't try that much for Carmine though, so yeah. In my old Carmine lists before I was thinking of Irida, there were trekking shoes, so that is still an option. But we have Irida. Now we do opt for the trekking shoes. This is, I'm pretty sure this is just my old list. I don't think anything was changed. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is my old list. My limitless deck build is kind of cluttered, but yeah, this is just what I do play normally. Cypher Maniac. I've seen the most results with this one, just like on ladder, but you're not inclined to play it because I can understand that it might feel bad for some people. This is not the best list. Like, this is not the best list. Nothing is the best list. It just depends on what you want to do with the deck, and some changes can be made. I feel like this is a pretty good list for Cypher Maniac, and overall these like lists are all pretty good. So I made a lot of matchups for you guys, a lot of slides on like almost all the matchups. I think there's like 13 in total. So we're just gonna start going to them and just try to list down every single strategy you can go for every single matchup. These will apply to every single build, even if you're going first with Carmine, so you can use it. It still applies because there's like the same attackers and stuff, and what I'm talking about is the attackers mainly, because that's how powerful Regis is, when you can just power up an attacker, use this very strong attack, and then just go from there. So first up we have Regis Shako V-Star. Our matchup originally wasn't that bad, but it gets better because we can take like 2 prizes off the bat without being punished for it a lot. So we just go for Topaz Bolt to take the first 2 prizes, and we want to just swing it as like much as possible before they can swing it back on us. I feel like that's a pretty big strategy we have to like know. Regis is a really good staller. I use it sometimes just to stall a game if I need an extra card. It works for sure. You do want to be ideally taking knockouts, but Regis is just a good staller. And Regis can also win you the game if they've exhausted resources. So you can deck them out maybe. You can go for more control route where you're just waiting for them to deck out. Or you do enough damage with the Regis continuously where the Regis Shako V-Star just dies. Or you could be going for like a Regis angle where you're hitting the Regis Drago and then you're hitting another Regis Drago and you just snipe and then you win the game. Which, yeah, there's just a couple of ways you can use Regis, but it's not the best attack in the matchup. You just want to be Topaz bolting for most of the game, and then just winning from there. Lugia Archeops. So, trying to take out the Lugia V is the best way to put pressure on the deck, because that is the way they like do stuff. Plus the fact that Lugia V can one-shot anything except for the Pikachu EX because of its ability. You should be taking KOs on Lugia V, but if there's a different way you can take 2 prizes, then go ahead for it. Topaz Bulge is a really strong attack still, and you can also snipe Archeops and liabilities with your Radiant Greninja and Regieleki. So these are the things you want to be doing. There might be different ways, but I feel like they don't like overlap with each other. The line will be clear as soon as you start playing the match. Ceruledge EX. This is a deck that nobody's actually sure if it's gonna take a bunch of the meta, but it is Sacramento. Like competitive players are going to play what they play to LAIC, and I'm not saying competitive players won't go to Sacramento, because they definitely are, and building decks, but definitely there will be people playing new decks to Sacramento because there's a higher chance of people not being prepared for it, not really respecting those new decks, like Regis for example. But Ceruledge is one of those decks that are really powerful right now, but we don't know if it's going to have a good meta share. I think it's better to be prepared though. Take the first 2 prizes with any attacker. You don't want Ceruledge having access to just be ripping your board apart, no matter how they're doing it. If they start like attacking you and you can't really get the stuff going, that goes for any deck. It just doesn't work. So you want to be taking 2 prizes to be prepared for whatever they're going to do next. So you want to be taking 2 prizes, like using Radiant Greninja on their Charcadets, or Iron Hands on their Charcadets, to be taking those 2 prizes. That's pretty important. Pikachu is your best friend, because Ceruledge can be one-shot by Pikachu. Pikachu does straight 300 damage. That's really important, because Ceruledge cannot survive that one hit, and it needs to be playing a Cologne to be taking 2 prizes off of your Pikachu if they don't knock it out. In one hit, it's kind of a lot of pressure on them, because you can just attack with it again. Just recycle the same attacker, and you don't really have to do anything. So yeah. You can also set up a 4 prize turn with Radiant Greninja, because Ceruledge is weak to water. And just because of that, your Radiant Greninja is so strong in just sniping stuff. You can't snipe Ceruledge on the bench though. That's why I'm telling you, you can hit it for weakness with like it being in the active and stuff. But yeah, you could even just like hit its liabilities, and that would be like the same effect. We have Goldengo EX. Take out Gimmighoul and take 2 prizes. Pretty simple. It's like the same game plan for any evolving deck that has baby Pokemon. Pikachu EX, Oko's Goldengo, which is the same for Ceruledge, surprisingly. So Pikachu is really good again. Aggressively Topaz Bolt, because Goldengo EX does play that Gust, and it also does play that Disruption to just try to make the game harder for you, while they can just draw all of their cards. So they are still playing Canceling Cologne. So if you can Topaz Bolt as much as possible before they grab that Canceling Cologne and just Oko your Pikachu, you can't really recycle it that much. But if you can, that's great. Just like make sure you're trying to get your attacks really, really fast. Don't stall for time or anything, and just win that game from there. And be prepared for late game, because that could be really bad for you potentially. They can just gust something, unless you have only Regis on the board, and just kill it. So you have to be prepared for that disruption. Next up is Raging Bolt. This is one of your good matchups now. It used to be like a worse matchup in Stellar Crown. This is one of your best matchups actually. So just go for Topaz Bolt, take the first 2 prizes. You cannot let them get ahead, as always, but there's a lot of forgiveness in this matchup, because you could make a misplay and it doesn't matter that much. Bolt can't KO Pikachu, so it just slows down the game for them, which is hard. But if they do like decide to play Canceling Cologne, it might get harder for us. But yeah, Pikachu just makes this matchup a gazillion times better. And pivot to pure Regis to secure the game sometimes. Raging Bolt is bad into single prize matchups, like horribly bad. And we have Regis that can just two-shot it, or two-shot something else, which two-shot it, two-shot a liability, one-shot a liability. There's a lot of things Regis can do to just win the game straight out. Rhino EX. This is one of our best matchups. They can Iron Hands Amp our Squawkabilly for 3 prizes and we still win the game. I'm not even kidding. Regirock wins the matchup completely. You have a single prizer that is hitting 280 on a lightning Pokemon, and all other attackers are fighting weak. That's just insane damage. Pikachu EX can attack well if you prize your fighting energy. You can use Pikachu EX to be one-shotting everything else. Latias EX, because of its ability, enables Registeel to hit 220, which is also pretty crazy, because some of their attackers are at 220 or just under 220, which you can see on the right here. Next matchup is Lost Box. So what we're going to be worried about here is like Lost Box Pikachu, but Pikachu doesn't really make it relevant in the matchup, but it should be fine. Play this matchup as fast as you can for Stadium Bump to be less relevant. They play like so many Stadium Bumps. They play Pokestop, they play Lost Vacuum. It's just really hard to get around. So if you can just take all of your prizes in 3 turns, 4 turns, their Stadium Bumps, with you being able to replace them, wins you the game, because you don't need that many stadiums or area 0 to be able to win. Always take multi-prize turns. Take multi-prize turns with Iron Hands. Take multi-prize turns with Radiant Greninja. If they Iron Hands somehow, like something, that would be not even that bad, because you can just one-shot with Regirock. So what the plan is, we're gonna use Radiant Greninja and then Iron Hands and then Regirock, or we're gonna use Iron Hands, then Iron Hands again, and then Regirock on the Luna. It's just how that matchup goes, and if you can play it very fast, you just win the game. You could play this matchup slow, which is like you have your baby Regis, like all of your baby Pokemon, just your Regis, just chilling on the board, and just attacking with the single prizers. That makes the area 0 and the Stadium Bumps less relevant, which is pretty cool. So there are multiple ways you can take the matchup. I like playing it fast. If you need to play it safe, you can do it slow. It doesn't really matter that much at the end of the day, as long as you have the energies you need to be able to attack. Next matchup, Charizard EX. Very popular deck, as always. And the game plan has always been the same for it. Take out Charmanders and take early prizes. You want to be taking 2 prizes, as many prizes as you can, actually, before they evolve, because Charizard is such a beefy Pokemon. While we play Kieran, it's a little hard to run into it, so we do just need to take out as many things as we can before it evolves into a Charizard, and we also have boss's orders to do stuff. Just because you react after they evolve, I don't think there's a point to do anything else. And even though it's not one-shotting a Charizard, you can always just go for that KO the next turn with a single prizer, which is pretty strong into a multi-prize deck. So yeah, just remember you have Kieran and Boss at your disposal. They can help you take multi-prize turns, so that just fixes like some of the math for you. Yeah. Next up, we have Dragapult EX. Same game plan as Charizard. Take as many prizes as you can before they evolve. I don't feel like you should be stalling out a game. That's never a good tactic into these stage 2 decks. They do everything so fast. It's like a whirlwind. If you can, make plays that don't let them attack on the next turn. Dragapult EX is a really strong attack. They don't even need a cologne to be one-shotting our Pikachu because they can just spread. So just beware of that. And Pikachu is still your best friend in these big beefy matchups. But yeah, overall it's like a little scary. I think they do play cologne as well, so just watch out for this. Next up, Hydreigon EX. This is another deck that nobody's actually sure if it's gonna take up a lot of the meta or not, if it's gonna be good in the meta or not. The attack is really scary though. Obsidian for 130 damage to 2 of our bench Pokemon and 130 to the active is really scary. That's enough to hit exactly all of our Regis, except for Regigigas. So them taking 3 prizes and just wiping out our board is really scary. But we just try to take out the Dino before they can use Hydreigon. Take as many prizes as you can. Target the cards that help them set up. So if you have a boss, use the boss on like a Rotom. Use the boss on like a Pidgeot. Don't go for like a different Hydreigon EX. Just that's a tactic for a lot of the stage 2 decks. Go for the ones that give you 2 prizes but also help them set up, which you don't want being on the board. Not just being able to set up, but also just let them do what they want during your turn, like disruption, attack for so much more. It's really a big problem if they can just have the resources just at a flick of their wrist. Next up, we have Radiant Greninja into Gardevoir EX. Because Radiant Greninja is so good into literally everything, we can just set up a Radiant Greninja before they can promote a Klefki. Klefki is extremely scary, turning off all of our basic Pokemon's abilities. This is a normally bad matchup because they have single prizes of their own. They can take multi-prize knockouts without being punished. They can use Monkey Dory on our Pikachu to be one-shotting it, deactivating its ability as well. Try to take multiple prizes each turn. You don't want to give them the benefit of you being a little bit behind on prizes. Never. You're just trying to win the game as fast as possible before they can start locking you out of stuff. And just try to get rid of their jaw as well. Kirlia is really threatening because it gives them access to a lot of plays. If you can take out their Kirlia, you should be in a better spot for sure. We have the Dusknoir decks next. We also just have Palkia and Terapagos in the same place here, because a lot of what happens here goes for the same thing, where it's like Palkia Area 0 and Palkia Dusknoir and Terapagos Dusknoir. You have the same-ish game plan into all of these decks. You can just snipe small Pokemon for Radiant Greninja. You can also Iron Hand if they have a small boy. Both decks' main attackers can be one-shot by Pikachu EX, and Terapagos can be one-shot by the Regirock for 280 damage if there is no Bouffalon, because the Bouffalon buffs their HP by 60, or technically makes them take less damage by 60, so that's theoretically 290 HP, and they'd be hanging out by 10 HP if we attack the Regirock, which is a little annoying, but we can just hit them for Pikachu, which is just 10 damage over their HP. Nothing really special here. You probably will expect these still because they're just fundamentally strong decks. Plus, people have been playing it since LAIC, so I don't see why not preparing a little bit for it. Should be good. Yeah. Next up, we have Pidgeot Control. Pidgeot Control gets beaten with early Radiant Greninjas. You can snipe 2 Pokemon, and they might need to be like evolving into their Pidgeot as fast as possible to be getting their win condition against you. If you are sniping them, then that means they can't just evolve Pidgeot, switch the deck for whatever card they want, right? So a big part of this matchup is preventing them to evolve into Pidgeot EX. If they do evolve into the Pidgeot EX and you're like, oh no, what do I do? You have Regieleki to recycle the switches. You have Kieran and 2 switch cards in each of these lists. So Kieran is obviously your strongest switch card because it's a supporter, but Regieleki is like the biggest tool in control that you could have. It's been played in multiple decks that want to counter control. Like there's the Tord list that played Regieleki to counter control. So it's just a really strong card to have, and you needing to play that anyway should be a good thing. And yeah, your Radiant Greninja also prevents Thornton, because if you have damage on another Pokemon, the damage counters have to be put on the Pidgey and the Pokemon that was Thorntoned. So if you can put damage on to another Pokemon, the Thornton just kind of doesn't become an option to evolve into Pidgey EX. Next up we have Block. So Block is like both Wall and Snorlax stall. So basically what you want to play in this matchup is just Regieleki always. Regieleki just recycles the switches. You can just be switching in and out, doing whatever you want, just making sure that you have enough resources with Regieleki before you start attacking. There's no need to respect walls because of all of your diverse attackers. Cornerstone doesn't wall it, Milotic doesn't wall it, Mimikyu doesn't wall it. The only thing that could possibly wall it is Noivern EX, and the way you beat Noivern EX is essentially just Radiant Greninja, the same way you would Radiant Greninja them away at Thornton. You can just Radiant Greninja away a Noibat, and then Radiant Greninja put 90 on something else so they can't just Thornton it. And use attack that discard energies is really important, because if you have energies on one Pokemon and just like counter catcher, retreat lock something else, and like let's say you don't have energies to attack with that Pokemon because you can attack with almost everything, you're a little bad into that matchup because you don't have any energies to use. How are you going to attack? So just make sure to be using attacks like Regieleki's or Pikachu's or Radiant Greninjas. They're really strong, so just use them. I don't see why you wouldn't, unless they're using Cornerstone. But yeah, it should be fine. That's our final matchup. So I hope this comes into use if you're playing Regis. I tried to do every single relevant matchup. Good luck playing the deck. And if you have any questions, I'll link my Twitter down below.